If you're a new mom right now, I don't think we talk enough about just how loud the world gets once you have a baby. And I mean loud in a very specific way. Suddenly, everybody has an opinion. Social media has an answer for everything. Every scroll tells you there's a right way to feed, soothe your baby, sleep, play, bond, discipline, recover, and somehow still be yourself. And it's not that any one piece of advice is necessarily bad. It's that there's so much of it that it becomes hard to hear yourself think. I'm Heather Radich, I'm a therapist, and I work with a lot of postpartum moms, and I'm also a mom myself. And this is something that comes up constantly in conversations, this feeling of, I don't know how to trust myself anymore. What I notice is that so many new moms aren't actually disconnected from their intuition. They're just completely overwhelmed by input because intuition isn't loud. It doesn't shout. It doesn't come with bullet points or certainty or perfectly branded reels. Intuition tends to sound quiet, more subtle, sometimes even inconvenient. It might sound like this advice works for a lot of people, but it doesn't feel right for me. Or everyone says this is normal, but something in my body is saying I need support. Or even, I know this looks fine from the outside, but I'm actually not okay. Here's the hard part though. We're living in a time where new moms and moms in general are being trained out of listening to that voice. Because the moment that you feel unsure, the instinct is to Google or to scroll or ask a poll or compare. And before you know it, you've taken a quiet internal question and you've buried it under hundreds and hundreds of external examples. I see this show up around everything: feeding choices, sleep, returning to work, boundaries with family, whether something feels off emotionally, whether they're bonding enough, whether they're doing motherhood the right way. And the irony is, the more information we consume, the more anxious we will feel. Not because we're incapable, but because intuition needs space, and postpartum moms rarely get that. Your body has just gone through something enormous. Your nervous system is recalibrating. Your identity is shifting. Of course there's uncertainty. Of course there's self-doubt. That doesn't mean your internal compass is broken. It means that it's being drowned out. One of the most important things I tell new moms is this: social media is designed to give general advice. Motherhood is deeply personal. What works beautifully for one family can feel completely wrong for another. That doesn't mean someone is doing it wrong. When intuition gets ignored long enough, what often replaces it is anxiety, second guessing, over researching, constantly checking whether you're allowed to trust what you're feeling. And then moms start saying things like, I don't know what I want, or I don't even know what's normal anymore. That isn't a failure, it's overload. Reconnecting with intuition doesn't mean rejecting all advice or information. It means learning how to notice what settles in your body versus what ramps you up, what feels grounding versus what leaves you spiraling. Sometimes intuition is the part of you that says, I need rest, not another solution. Sometimes it says, this doesn't feel urgent, even though everyone says that it should. And sometimes it says, I need help, even when everything looks fine from the outside. That voice gets clearer when there's less noise, when there's permission to slow down, when there's space to talk things through with someone who isn't invested in selling you a method or a mindset or a program. And honestly, a lot of postpartum support isn't about giving answers. It's about helping moms to actually hear themselves again. So if you feel like you've been outsourcing your confidence, if you're feeling more confused now than you expected to feel, or if you miss trusting your gut the way that you thought that you would throughout this journey of motherhood, know that you're not broken, you're not weak, you're not doing it wrong. You're responding to a system that tells new moms to look everywhere else except for inward. And that can change. Sometimes all it takes is a little less noise, a little more support, and that reminder that you're allowed to trust what your body and your mind are telling you, even when those two things don't match the algorithm.